Okay. I know we've talked about this before, but the Florida Gators have one of the most versatile defenders in the country right now.
You are Locked On Gators, your daily podcast on the Florida Gators. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello and welcome back to another episode of Locked On Gators, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Thanks for making Locked On Gators your first listen of the day every day. We are available daily and free for visiting the podcast and on YouTube. Happy Wednesday. I'm Brandon Olsen. Find me on Twitter at WNS_Brandon. Today's episode of Locked On Gators is brought to you by FanDuel. Place your first $5 bet and you'll get started with $200 in bonus bets. Guaranteed. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. And like I said, the Florida Gators have one of the most versatile defenders right now. Truly, I know I've talked about him before. I've talked about him individually with a lot of you. But Sharif Denson, dude, there's no other way to describe him. Sharif Denson is genuinely really freaking good at football, okay? He is really good at football. He can be used in every way possible. I watch the Mississippi State game is how he should be used. Because you look at the Mississippi State game and he's lining up everywhere. Literally everywhere. The Mississippi State game, he played as a boundary corner. Okay? He played as an out corner, wide corner. He played as a deep safety. He played as a slot. That's what he does mostly, right? He played lined up as a linebacker. He played lined up on the edge. He did everything against Mississippi State. And here's the thing, he did it pretty damn well. Outside of a couple of screw-ups against Miami, he's been playing lights out. Dog in coverage. He's just been a dog in coverage. The kid has it. Sharif Denson has it. I don't even know what it is. But I know that whatever it is, Sharif Denson has it. And he's listed as 5'11", 189, which usually means someone's 5'10", 5'10 and a quarter, something like that. 5'10 or 5'11", 189. And I can't remember the last time I've seen someone at that size, which obviously is not a big dude, right? That's my height at 5. If he's going by the listed height of 5'11", my height, 15 pounds heavier than me. And he is active against the run. I don't remember the last time I've seen someone just get that gritty against the run from the slot corner. And I don't just mean for Florida. I mean a guy that is genuinely just a pure slot and he just gets it down and dirty at 5'11", 189. There's guys that are 5'11" that get gritty there, but they're usually up around 205. There's guys that are 189 that get gritty down there, but they're usually about 5'9", Kenny Moore. Kenny Moore, the second with the Colts. He's listed as 5'9", I think 185 it said, or 190. 5'9", he's more compact frame, right? And he's pretty good against the run. That's why I chose Kenny Moore to pick. Or I don't know, like Tyke Smith is a similar height to Sharif Denson, but heavier, of course. And so that's what I'm saying, where there's not many people at that size that are that gritty and impactful against the run. Because it's different to just be willing to get mixy, right? Getting mixy that's pure want to, that's pure attitude, that's pure enthusiasm. But to be effective there, that's the impressive part. And then also, speaking of effective, there is not a single player there's not a single Florida Gator that is an off-ball player, so a non-traditional pass rusher, that has been as effective as a blitzer as Sharif Denson's been so far. And that's one of the biggest travesties about this defense, by the way, is that he hasn't been used like that yet. He hasn't. He's got 6 pass rush reps this season. He's got pressures on 2 of them and a sack on 1 of them against Mississippi State. Like he is one of the more effective players, and this is not a new thing. Like this isn't all of a sudden he had an effective game as a blitzer. He's good. I've always said he's good. No, but you can look at what we've done with the subtext. We did spring game evaluations, and Sharif Denson, if I'm not mistaken, Sharif Denson was one of the players that we did a spring game evaluation for, right? And I even wrote about it, that he is good as a blitzer for someone as small as he is. Like he ducks under taller blockers to get by their hands. He does that against Mississippi State. You watch him do that against Mississippi State, and he does that multiple times. Like he is one of the most versatile defenders around, and he's been doing it whenever he's gotten the opportunity to do it, which this year he's gotten opportunities to play well. But if you're going to try to figure out this pass rush, getting him more involved as a pass rusher needs to be a priority there. Because when you look at the off-ball pass rush plan, it's really bad right now. It is. It's not effective, and it's not super creative. Florida's behind the times right now in terms of using the Swiss Army knife type defenders. And I think that you have that Swiss Army knife type defender in a guy like Sharif Denson, in a guy like Pop Howard. Like, don't forget, when Pop Howard committed, I think pretty much everybody was given the impression that, hey, he's going to be playing mostly off-ball linebacker, but he's going to come down into the box, or he's going to come down on the edge and be a pass rusher there too. So far, he's played 128 total snaps. Pop Howard. 117 of them have been as an off-ball defender, and 11 of them have been near the line. 11's nothing there. Sharif Denson's got 5, and he missed a game, and he did it mostly this past game. Like, this pass rush plan isn't good, and you've got a guy that can help you open it up. And again, I think in coverage, he's pretty good outside of the Miami game. The Miami game wasn't even bad. He just had a few miscues and got beat a couple times. Shocking, right? Guy in his second career start has a few screw-ups. But you look at the games that he's played since, and he's been really freaking good. Like, he is a gem on this team right now. Okay? And I will say this, Texas A&M was a really bad football game for a lot of players on this team. It wasn't for Sharif Denson. It wasn't. Simply put. Like he's someone that when UCF comes to town, he needs to be out on that field a lot. Because when he's on that field, they're a better run defense. They're a better run defending team. They're a better run defense with him out there. He needs to be on the field there. He needs to be playing more. And I know he's listed as a starter. He plays as a starter. He needs to be used more effectively because, again, coverage, I don't think he's elite in coverage. I'm not saying that. I don't think he's elite overall. I think his overall skill set is so versatile that he opens up your defense. And we've talked about this before. We talked about this in the summer and maybe even in the spring. We talked about Sharif Denson's a guy that can be used in so many different ways that he opens up so much for your defense and allows you to be so much more creative. And Florida's looking at him and they're going, sit in coverage there, which again, like in coverage, he's fine, but he also provides value as a pass rusher. A lot of DBs that rush the passer don't provide true value as a pass rusher because their only value is come by unblocked and get a sack, get a pressure, whatever it may be. Sharif Denson's like ducking blockers, getting around people. You've got a guy that opens up your defense. Allow him to open it up. And again, that's the thing that for me is amazing because Ron Roberts blitzed the hell out of the slot last year. The star position blitzed a lot. And now they're not doing it. And that's incredibly confusing to me. Because I feel like a lot of what they're doing is Ron Roberts. but I feel like some of the blitzes that are still popping up are all Austin Armstrong with the frequency of the linebacker and safety coming down, and not so much safety in the box coming down and blitzing. It's just really weird. I've said I hate the pass rush plan right now. It's not great, not good, not fun, not acceptable. But you've got a guy that opens everything up for you. We are about to be joined by Hayden Hansen, Florida Gators starting tight end, next on Locked On Gators. It is time to highlight our Roy Player of the Week. Roy is a new platform that lets fans make contributions directly to their favorite athletes. So you can download Roy for iOS or Android and enter referral code LOCKEDSPACE and you'll automatically be entered into a sweepstakes to win $5,000 cash. No purchase necessary, void where prohibited. So this week, we're doing something, right? We're doing the Roy Player of the Week. So you know what we're doing? We're picking Aiden Mizell, and we're giving Aiden Mizell $100 on Roy. Because Aiden Mizell deserves it. He had that long touchdown, brought back, robbed, straight up robbed from him with the blindside block with the defender looking right at Montrell. I don't know what the hell that was, but we're giving it to Aiden Mizell. He deserves it. So if you were as impressed as I was with Aiden Mizell on Saturday, you can show him some love too. Hop on Roy, throw in a few bucks. If everyone pitches in $5, $10, whatever it may be, it adds up fast for Aiden, right? So now you have the chance to show your appreciation for Aiden Mizell and his standout performance this week. And I will say we'll continue to do this. He will continue to have standout performances. Hopefully, there's money on the line. That's what I'm saying. So get off the sideline and get into the NIL game with Roy. When you're hiring for your small business, you want to find quality professionals that are right for the role. That's why you have to check out LinkedIn Jobs. LinkedIn Jobs has the tools to help you find the right professionals for your team faster and for free. And let me tell you, everybody is on LinkedIn, right? If you're not on LinkedIn, you go to linkedin.com, you create an account, and I don't know, let's say LinkedIn Billy wants to get a job, right? LinkedIn Billy was recently let go from his beautiful public university. LinkedIn Billy was a football coach at a beautiful public university in the state of Florida. Some might say the flagship. And LinkedIn Billy is now looking for an analyst job, probably somewhere. LinkedIn Billy, if he's not on LinkedIn, he should be on LinkedIn, right? Post your job for free at linkedin.com/lockedoncollege. That's linkedin.com/lockedoncollege to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply. Joining me now for Locked On Gators is Hayden Hansen, Florida Gators starting tight end. And I got to ask, how did it feel to break the FBS Power 4 losing streak, pick up a big SEC win on the road? Like obviously, first SEC win of the season is always going to be a big one. Winning a road game, which is something that just the team has struggled with in recent years, knocking kind of all of those out right away. What did that feel like for you?
Yeah, it was huge. I mean, it was a must-win for momentum purposes. We knew Mississippi State was also in a similar spot to us, so we knew that the winner of this was going to have a huge momentum going into the bye week. So I'm glad we got it done. I feel like we should have done that against that team, and I'm glad we did. And just get better this bye week and then get ready for UCF.
How does that feel just mentally? As I feel like, go back to the Texas A&M game, we both kind of looked at it and we were like, hey, like this is a team where you could handle business against. It didn't happen against Texas A&M. Is there a little bit of self-doubt that kind of gets addressed when you finally knock it down, where it's like, hey, like we didn't do it against the team, but now we did it against the team we were supposed to do it against. So perhaps we can kind of right the ship there.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think it just breeds confidence at the end of the day. You know, you out there to execute, you're going to have confidence. And I think that's huge going forward, especially with the back half of the schedule that we have. It's going to be important to have that confidence.
I also have to ask, what kind of freaking demon time were both of the quarterbacks on, where Graham and DJ Lagway just couldn't miss? And I know Mississippi State, you know, they allow those windows usually, but it felt like both of them were just clicking on all cylinders at all times.
Yeah, I mean, it was fun to see. Those guys work very hard. They're both very talented. So for them to go out there and do that, it's always cool to see.
I've got to ask, you guys ever like, are there any comments about Graham running so much all of a sudden? Is that the thing where it's just like, hey man, like what's happening here?
No, he broke a few in practice today, and he let me know that he thought he was a dual threat. He had a positive rushing yards against Mississippi State. So, yeah.
And against Miami, I think it was, he like kind of trucked into the Miami defender on the sideline there. Does he just think he's Superman? Like, I don't. Missouri's the game he got hurt was trucking between two defenders.
Yeah.
Miami, he trucked the guy on the sideline. Like,
just plays fearless, man. That's a guy you like to play for right there. He puts it all on the line, that's for sure.
Yeah, and Billy Napier last week, I was asked at a press conference, and he specifically mentioned you, Jake Slaughter, Chim Dike, and Graham Mertz as the guys that have stepped up as the offensive leaders as of late. What does that entail exactly? What is the locker room dynamic like? Like how do you guys essentially leading the team now?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think it goes in multiple ways. Obviously, you're going to have the main guy, Graham, most of the time it's QB1. I think in a lot of ways, I think me and Jake do a good job leading by example. I know Chim likes to be vocal a lot, like Graham. There's just different versions of leadership, you know. I'm one of those guys that's not going to go rip someone's butt for not doing the right thing. I'm going to be the guy that's going to do it right to my best of my ability every play. And if anyone's ever lost, they can look to me to know what to do. That's kind of my style of it. I'm not really a hoorah guy. I mean, I can be if time calls for it, but that's really not my style. I think that's just really cool. We have so many leaders on this team that do it their own way, but at the end of the day, we all represent that one standard. So,
yeah, there's an interesting dynamic there because Graham Mertz, of course, transferred in from Wisconsin after 4 years there. Came in last year, and he's even said, by the time we got to the season, I was still learning the playbook. I barely knew everybody's name, is what I spent most of spring doing. Now you've got year two. How has he grown as a leader from – because I feel like it's hard when you come in from the portal and you're expected to be the leader right away, where you haven't been in the weight room with these guys. You haven't been on the practice field with these guys. You've been doing it elsewhere. And so to kind of earn that respect, and then now in year two, take that next leadership role.
Yeah, I mean, when he came in here, he was extremely humble. He never talked or anything. The one time he did before he played, he's just like, I'm not here to force myself to be a leader. He's like, I'm going to go out there, win the spot, and win the guys around me, win their trust. And he did just that. I mean, and now he's definitely hands down the leader of this team, and couldn't ask for anyone better.
And this past week against Mississippi State, you were one of the game captains. How was that decided?
I have no idea. I think it's a coach's vote or something like that. I have no clue, but I mean, it was a hell of an honor, First time being a captain, we won, scored. Maybe give it to me again. We'll see.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I saw someone tweet after you scored that they were just like, make him game captain every week. If he's going to score a touchdown, we're going to win. Just make him game captain every week. Does that come with any, I guess, additional responsibilities outside of going to the pregame coin toss?
No, I mean, the only thing that's changed this year is when we do like our warm-up before practice on Thursday, is when they're announced, and the three guys that are named go up and lead the team stretch. I mean, that's really about it.
All right, and I just need you to walk me through this 35-yard touchdown. Just take me through that play, and I guess what you guys saw as an offense to be like, all right, like this is going to be open right at the seam.
Yeah, so I mean, I ran a similar route to that the first drive, and felt like I could have ran it better. So when they called it again, and I only saw one safety back there instead of two, I was like, oh, yeah, this. I mean, if he doesn't look to me right off the bat, this is going to be open. I mean, I knew when I caught it, he was going to be coming downhill. That's one of their better players too, so I figured he was going to get there pretty quickly. He did. He went pretty low. He hit my left quad. If it was any lower, he might have tripped me up, but I was able to have him just bounce off me, and then yeah, I mean, it's never going to be – the feeling's never going to go away no matter how many times you score. It's going to be amazing. So
I've got to be honest with you. I saw you catch the ball, and I saw the safety coming down, and my whole thought was definitely just please don't let this one – just don't let this one guy just make this stop right there.
I would have never heard the end of it. So.
Hey, NFL fans, you can start the season with a big return on FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. So when you get a hunch in the middle of the game, you're like, oh, you know what? I know that he's going to get a hit in his next at bat. I know they're going to throw to this guy on the next drive, which is what I do. Every primetime game, I sit there and I'm like, all right, here's who I think they're going to throw to on the next drive. If it's against a blitz-happy team, I'm putting a running back every single time. Slot receiver, whatever it may be. You can do all that on FanDuel. So you can get started with $200 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place your first $5 bet, whether it wins or loses. That's FanDuel.com. Yeah, and I just, obviously, you are a much larger individual than I am. You've met me. So I don't know what that's like so much, but is there, because you mentioned, he hit you in the quad. If he went lower, might have tripped you up. Is it one of those things where, like, if he hits you in the hip, it's more likely to throw you off balance or anything? Like, is there a spot where you're just like, all right, just like that's the spot that's going to kind of screw it up?
For me, it's the ankles, the ankle biters, they can just grab a shoelace or something and just like get your foot a little off the angle. I beg, it hasn't happened my whole SEC career, but I beg for someone to hit me up high. But it's always the ankle grabs and stuff. It's just hard to break, but you just got to be ready for it.
Yeah, I don't think there's many people that literally can hit you up high because the height difference. You're up against the DB. They're 6'1", 6'2". They're up high as your abdomen, I guess there. And you have your I guess we'll call it your signature touchdown celebration, right? You shoot the bow and arrow into the crowd. How does that feel for you, knowing that in the NFL, apparently that's a fine now for being a violent gesture?
That's a fine now?
That's a fine now in the NFL. Really? Yeah, that's a fine now. Yep.
Since when?
I know that last week, I forgot who it was, but last week someone got fined $15,000 for doing the bow and arrow.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
That's heartbreaking.
Yeah.
I might have to just eat that fine. We'll see.
just hey, at that point, just eat the fine, get the celebration. It's marketed, or you could do it if you get drafted by the Chiefs. That's the thing, because Travis Kelce doesn't get fined for it. I'm assuming because it can be related to the Chief ties there. So I'm assuming that's what it is. But yeah, just so you know, $15,000 fine on that one. Get him in now and don't worry about it. But in recent weeks, we saw it really at halftime of the Texas A&M game. We saw a change in the offensive rotation there. Tony Livingston came in with you second half of the Texas A&M game. He played the majority of the snaps next to you at tight end there. And then this past weekend, he played the majority of the snaps at tight end with Arlis still rotating in. Arlis scored a touchdown. He was there in passing downs mostly. But what is that new tight end rotation like for you guys on the offense? And does that change your prep at all?
Yeah, for me, it doesn't really change much. I'm still going to be the Y. My rules, my same stuff. But communication is a little different. Tony's less experienced. I'm really proud of him, though. He's stepped up these past couple of weeks and has put the physicality in the run game on tape. It's pretty fun playing out there with him, and I think he showed off his hands a little bit too. But yeah, I'm excited. He's got his chance, and I don't think he's going to let up, which is exciting.
Yeah, I was going to ask you to elaborate a bit on Tony, because I remember that one time we were having a conversation, and you were just like, "Man, like when Tony gets it, like he's gonna be good." So just what was it about him that you just kind of knew, like, hey, like once he gets it down, he's gonna kind of open up a bit?
His frame, first of all, and second of all, he's more of an aggressive type. I think last year he was just playing a little slower, wasn't getting the offense as fast, which fair enough. This offense is hard to get. That's why I redshirted. But I think it's starting to click for him, and he's starting to play with more confidence, and I'm excited to see.
Yeah, we've heard some NFL tight ends talk about it, specifically Jay Sternberger, who played with Texas A&M and then the Packers, and then I believe he was at the XFL for a bit. But he's talked about the differences in details between some teams, where he's like, hey, I've been in an offense before where if I'm lined up in line and there's a guy even just a few feet to the side or a few feet back, then it completely changes my responsibility, my assignment. Is that kind of what it's like playing tight end in this offense, where based on what the defense gives you, even if it's a slight change, it could change so much about your responsibility?
Yeah, and on this team, we call it the figure it out position. So, it's definitely, you definitely have to be tuned in. You have to know every single rule. It could change like that. So,
yeah, I was just curious, because it seems like you guys do a lot out there. Genuinely, you're running a somewhat wider route tree than you ran last year. You guys are opened up the run game now a bit more just from a scheme standpoint. So it seems like hell is my point to try to understand every responsibility and assignment here in the tight end.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't argue with you.
And now that you guys bye week this week, what's the hope now? Like you guys go into the bye week with a 2-2 record. Do you essentially go, hey, we're 0-0, 4 wins gets us a bowl game, 8 wins to get it, or what's the mindset of the team here heading into the bye?
Yeah, I mean, I just think it's to keep this momentum, keep working. There's a lot to learn on the tape, good and bad, from last game. And there's still a big emphasis today was there's a lot of season left, We can turn this thing completely around, So, I mean, it just starts tomorrow, getting better. Starts the next day. Just every opportunity to get better, we have to take advantage of it.
Yeah, and what is a bye week like for you guys practice-wise, process-wise? Does it change anything with the days you practice, what the approach is like? Like, is it more about ironing out the kinks than it is just about the next team that you're facing? Just what's that like?
Yeah, I'd say the emphasis this week is competing. We split up into teams for practice, which made it a lot of fun, kept score, stuff like that. So, yeah, I mean, it brings out the best of us for sure.
Do you go up against Shamar with the trash talk again? I remember that was a big thing that we talked about last year.
Yeah, I go up against Shamar.
Does Pup talk trash in practice? Because I know that okay, because I remember the spring game he came in and he batted a ball that was intended for Arliss, and I remember he did the little seatbelt, and I was like, oh, might have one of them ones over there. So I was curious about that one. And before I let you go, we like to end with non-football stuff. What are you doing now in your downtime? Just bye week, and I know that you used to be a big 2K guy. Just what do you do now in downtime?
Yeah, well, right now I'm kind of stressing out. I'm trying to get a fly out of here before this hurricane hits. That's kind of the main thing. I mean, if I'm end up being stuck up here and not being able to go home, I'm probably gonna get back on the game. I can't wait for Black Ops 6 to come out. Until then, I'll probably be playing some Warzone. Yeah, I mean, I'm not as big into 2K as I was last year. I just kind of got bored with it, honestly. So obviously NCAA, Warzone for sure, but I'm just letting you guys know now when Black Ops 6 comes out, that's what I'm on.
I'm not even going to pretend that I've played the fact that you even just said there's a Black Ops 6 to me is how out of touch I am. Last I played was like 3, and I didn't realize that they came out with more Black Ops games. It's insane to me that franchise still has annual releases. Just nuts stuff to me. But thank you so much, Hayden. This is Hayden Hansen, Florida Gators starting tight end. Catch him every week except this week on the field with the Florida Gators, and catch him every Wednesday with Locked On Gators. Thanks for being Locked On Gators, your first listen of the day every day. We are available daily and free reviews in the podcast and on YouTube. We'll be back tomorrow to talk more Florida Gators football. For Locked On Gators and Brandon Olsen, don't forget to follow me on Twitter at WNS_Brandon. Find all my written work with New York Giants on SI.com, and I'll see you all next time.